Hey everyone, how's it going? This is a tutorial on how to make hair textures, and these hair textures can be then used and applied to a mesh and then imported into Unity for hair. So basically what you want to do, let me turn on screencast keys. What you want to do, first create your camera, set it up somewhere over here, and then I change my resolution settings to 1024 by 1024, and then let's do 50% so that this tutorial will go fast. You know, for testing you want it 100% and then final probably 200%, but we'll do 50 right now. And then set your horizon color to pure black, makes it easier to see. So now create a plane, and then move it up here, go into edit mode, and we're going to scale this so that it's bigger. And then scale it along the y-axis so that it's a little less thick. And there we go. So we're going to be dropping hair down from this ribbon and then taking a render of it, saving that render as our hair texture. I got the idea from Hair Factory by Major Nightmare, so thank you, Major Nightmare. That was a good idea. I'm doing a few things a little bit differently than in this file, but you know, whichever way works for you. So I'm gonna go pretty fast through creating the hair, but because there are a lot of other tutorials out there if you want to get into like the intricacies of just how the particle hair behaves, but this is just a simple way that I found to set it up. So go under particles, create a new particle thingy, call it hair, set it to hair, check advanced. Usually what I do is I keep it at 1,000 and then I cut it down. These things don't matter so much. You know, they matter a lot more if you're putting this on an actual head. Right here they don't matter too much. So what I'm going to do is go back into edit mode, RY 180, enter, to flip it around so that the hair actually goes down. Now I'm going to go under velocity and then the emitter geometry to normal. Let's set this to 2 so that it is twice as long. And we go down here, check strand render, then children, and then interpolated, and then check long hair. And then, yeah, and by the way, this is only for really long hair. Like, I haven't really figured out a way yet to do, you know, like shorter hair texture, you know, like for like guys' hair and stuff. Right now, this is more for like long-haired people. So I like clump. I usually set it to max. And if I'm doing anything complicated, I'll set parting to max. Not really right now. These should be really low. So I'll just let you take a look at these settings. There are better settings. These are just some quick ones that I'm setting up. Because what I'm going for right now is just kind of a basic, straight, not too messed up hair that you can use for prototyping and you can use for base layers of your hair. You know, certainly like if you check out my last speed model video, I did hair that was tucked back into a bun. You don't really want that hair going all over everywhere. So I had it pretty straight, pretty smooth. And then for the parts of the hair that weren't straight, you know, the hanging out, then I, you know, messed those up and stuff. So let's go under materials, add a new material and call it hair. And then once again, add a new material, call it invisible. Go under transparency, Z transparency, set it to 0. We're going to go into edit mode again, and we're still selecting this plane, and we're going to assign the invisible material to it. The hair is automatically set to material 1, and so we don't need to go in here. I'll show you where it is. It's right here. So it's already set at 1. And you notice I didn't select B-spline. I'll do that once I start moving stuff around. For now, let's save this. So set transparency to 0 and turn on shadeless because it's just easier for this. You don't want to set that if you have hair that's in a regular render when you have a head and you're putting hair on top of that. This is just for getting a basic texture for a game. I think this is all okay. I don't really bother with setting the tip down. Yeah, let's go under strand, set the tip to 0.25. I'm a lot more, I don't know, lax about stuff when I'm making a hair texture because if you're doing like a really artistic, realistic render, then you do need to worry about a lot of stuff. For this, you mostly need clearly defined shapes and stuff because, especially with the way I do it in Unity, because what I do is I turn on a shader that is a cutoff shader, so all this alpha stuff that I'm doing right here, I'm making an alpha channel. It's only going to determine which pixels are rendered and which aren't, and the ones that are rendered at full opacity. So kind of representative, So go under mapping, strand, and then the color is the ramp. The way I like to do this is have everything here with full opacity and then just show how much I want it to be drawn by. Like black is not drawn at all, full transparency, white is full opacity. Add a little thingy here and make it fade out at the end. Add another one. Something like this. You can experiment depending on how you want your hair to look. But this is the root of the hair. This is the end. And I'm going to uncheck color, check alpha, RGB to intensity. And now let's make color blend. Let's call this color strand. So this is going to be another blend, and it's also set to strand rendering, strand mapping. And this is what's going to make the hair itself darker at the root. And you can make it darker at the end if you want. Actually, I think I'll do that. Keep in mind that if you do this and you do the method that I use, with the cutoff shaders, if you have something very dark and very transparent, but it still is above the transparency cutoff, it'll just be rendered as very dark. So this tends to make your hair look like the ends are much darker than you'll see right here. But I kind of like that effect, so I'm going to keep it. And this is set to color. Now one thing I like to do is add another texture and then color variation and keep it at cloud. Set it to 0.05 or so and the depth to about 5. Leave it on generated. Keep it on color and then change the blend to multiply. Go up here, create your ramp, set the opacity full, and now set this bottom value to the most that the variation will make it darker. So right here you're going to have certain parts of the hair that's fully black. I like to set this to about half. And so what we have now should be we should be able to see like different variations in the color. Yeah, right there. Alright, so this is what it looks like. There are color variations and looks pretty good, but I think what I did is, yeah, I forgot to turn down the rendering amount. Normally, you'd want this to be high if you're actually working on a head. You're just working on a texture, set it low. 10 is the maximum that I do. And so that'll make it better. You can also set the color here. I usually don't. Well, actually, I think I usually do, but I was planning on not, because then in Unity I can set the color according to a tint. Let's just make this red hair, reddish orangish hair. And there we go. Doesn't look very realistic, but just for us to see it a little better. So what I'm going to do now is, this is probably going to be fine for straight hair if it's just extremely straight. But we want to, let's cut that out. Okay, so what we want to do now is go into particle mode and set it to this one right here so that we can move around all parts of the hair. And I go under, first off, I usually like to cut some of it out. So let's do cut and then 0.1. Make sure to do it at the very tips of the hair so it removes the hair completely. And just different parts that have too much I cut out. This is one of the reasons why in this case the emission, whether it's jittered or random, doesn't really matter too much here, because I do a lot of this manually. So there we go. A little easier to manage. Now go under comb, set the strength to about 0.2 or lower. Set it to 0.15. And let's make some changes here. If we do too much, we can always use smooth to get rid of it. And now go under length, and then actually usually I have that set at strength 1 and then radius 10, and shrink. And the hard part here is not making it too blocky. Like, I'll show you this. See how blocky that looks? So you want to just kind of try and, I don't know, avoid that. It's really hard. I don't really have any great ways to avoid it. And then you can do grow. Just go back and forth between that until you get something that looks halfway natural. And then back to comb. One thing I like to do is go into side mode and then click B and select the very top layer. Actually, that's too much. B again. There we go. And now I'm going to comb this, and I'm going to be just make it extra frizzy. So this is sort of like the top layer of hair that gets moved around more, I assume. And now click A to unselect that. This part here is bugging me. And you're going to want B-spline on now, 5 or 6. because the hairs aren't perfectly straight, they're moving around. And here's what our hair looks like so far. And this would be pretty good for a fairly straight bit of hair. So you could do prototyping with this, and then you could keep this texture on the parts that are going to be the smoothest, whereas bangs are probably not going to look like this. And then, actual bangs, it's for how to do those, it depends on whether you want to do like, I don't really know how it would work if you show bangs like swept apart here. I don't think that would be a really good idea. I think it would be better to have the actual mesh, you know, do it. I guess I'm not really sure. So anyways, that's it, I guess. Alright, so that's it, I guess. Something like this really takes a lot of time tweaking it to make it look better than this. But this is the method I use, and it's pretty easy and fairly effective, especially for prototyping. So just make that invisible, get rid of the camera, because why not? Say you have your previously bald character here. What you want to do is select this, set it to UV, and I'm going to create a plane. Now you want all your planes to be at the same location because it makes it easier to import into Unity. And so I'm going to approximate, actually I think what I usually use is 1.5 just based on the scale of my models. You'll have to find whatever puts it around the center of the head. And then move it. And now before you start making this plane into a hair object, you want to go into edit mode, unwrap, and now look what you got. So you can set this. This is my old hair texture. So I usually have I think I should have right, there we go. So, let's say you didn't have this. You're going to export this image. So let's do that right now. As you can see, I've already done this tutorial and re-recorded it. So now we import that. Don't need to worry about it being generated or whatever unless you want it to be imported into Unity. And I don't know, that part really confuses me, so I always stay away from it. I just assign my materials manually. So here it is. We can go into texture mode. And now I can see that I need to rotate this. And do you want to roughly make this the same size? Incidentally, one trick that I used before, and I was working on hair that went back to a bun, is the end that went to the bun, the hair was much more even than this, but I would basically skipped all this part down here where it would fade out because it's going into a bun and it won't fade out. So, little tricks like that can help make hair look more realistic. And so here's our hair so far. And what you're going to do is spend like hours and hours subdividing this. And then just shaping this hair around the head. My computer's really starting to lag. The recording and using the screencast keys kind of slows it down. So there you go. Looks wonderful. Ready to import into the game. But anyways, the reason you do the subdivision is that if you extrude, actually I guess I'm not really sure what happens when you extrude. I think something bad happened before. Yeah. See, the texture isn't continuing with it. So if I want to make this longer, what I do is I subdivide here and then I move it down. Don't worry about your texture freaking out. And then I do then I move that down. And then later you can go through here and sometimes you will have things like this will be set here and you're like, oh crap. So just find the problem areas. I have sync turned on and then move it around in the UV and you can make it more even. Stuff like that. And then so this part just takes, it's not really that hard, just takes forever. And if you want to see me actually like, you know, trying while doing this and actually putting time into it, you can check out my speed model video. But right here, I'm just kind of showing you the idea of it. Hope you guys have fun with it. Let me know if you come up with any more ideas on how to make this better. Leave a video response if you make a video of you making a character with this, and because I'd like to see what you guys do with it. So, alright, happy blending. I'll see you later. Bye.